In this video, I want to talk about reading information from a file. So there's sort of a common pattern we follow in doing this, and then there's some interplay between scanners and exceptions that all sort of work together to make this successful. So to read from a file, we're going to use a scanner, which we've used before now a little bit, and a new class called file that basically knows how to read stuff from your computer's hard drive. And essentially when you're reading a file is you have to get the file name, so the text that represents the name of the file. You need to open the file and then use a scanner to read from the file. And again, a scanner can read lines and tokens. And then close the file at the end. So file name is just a string, like sample.txt. And again, I do find it useful to set your computer up so that you see those kind of extensions and you know what kind of thing you're trying to read. And you can make a text file in Eclipse. You can make a new untitled text file basically, and I made one and I put it here in my project, sample.txt. And in fact, when your code runs in Eclipse, the first place it looks is at that project level, right? So let's go ahead and try to make a file object. So file equals a new file, and again this takes a string as the file name, or eventually the path, and the path is the sequence of folders to get to your file name. And I'm going to call this sample.txt because that's the name of the file I'm looking for, and it's complaining it doesn't know about it, so I need to import file along with scanner here. And then what you want to try to do is make a scanner from the file, and you can read the information that way. So scanner, scanner, I've been liking using scan here instead of some of the other stuff I've been using, equals a new scanner from the file. So notice this is not the file name, right? This is the file object that was made from the file name. Now it is complaining here about a couple things. One is complaining that it's never closed, that's fine. I can say scan.close at the end, and that says I'm done using that file. Some of you have done this. We did this in the reading from the system in, and if you close system in, you can't open it again. So you have to be a little careful. You know, Eclipse complains about system in. If you want to read multiple things from there, you have to kind of leave it alone. Okay, so what it's complaining is an unhandled exception type found not found exception. And so Java is nervous that when you're looking for a file, you can't guarantee in advance that it's going to be there, and it forces you to use a try-catch to properly manage this potential error. Okay, so I can quick fix it, which sometimes is a little risky, you know, but sometimes it I'm gonna surround it with try-catch. Okay, so here I am trying to open this scanner, and what's it complaining about here? It says may not have been initialized. So here's the thing, actually, let's undo that so you can see this again. Okay, so I'll put this by itself. So here I had scanner scan equals a new scanner file. When I quick fix it, it knows I probably want to use this scanner after trying to open it, right? And so again, there's a scope issue. If I said scanner scan in here, it only exists in the scope of the try, and I can't use it down here. So instead, it says, okay, scanner scan. I'm going to just assign null to that to start. Okay, so there's not an object associated with it, but at least I'm assigning something to it, and I won't give you that error about using uninitialized variables. Okay, so this is not a great message on the catch. Basically, it prints the same exception code. You know, exception happened in angry red letters that it normally would, but it doesn't quit the program, right? It keeps going on here. Okay, so I have a scanner. It's wrapped in a mandatory try-catch block that Java requires, and once I get through that, I can try to read some stuff. So I make the scanner. I'm going to use has next line to pull the lines out the file one at a time and just print them out. So over here, I'm putting this stuff all in the try block, basically the full like working set of stuff. And you can decide whether you want to kind of like just do the try on a little bit and then continue on and like finish the program, or whether you want to do the main part in the try here and then do something else if it throws an exception. I guess I'm gonna power on through here and do it after the try, just for partly indenting reasons. So at this point, I believe I have a scanner set up properly, although if I catch it and print it out, I'm going to continue on, and there could be issues here, so I really should do something else, you know, to detect that, but I'm just sort of pretending it's going to work out okay here. So while the scan has a next line, in other words, there's more information to read, I'm going to get that line, next line. So again, the difference between get next and next line is that next gets a next token with separated by white space. Line definitely gets a line, even though it might be multiple words on that line. And I decided I want to read a line at a time. So get the line, and I don't have anything to do with it yet, so I'm just going to print it out, right? Just make sure I have something there. All right, and now my indenting's all weird. Okay, so if I run this, I get the lines of the file. Help interrupt the file, don't stand there, get me out of here. All right, so there are 3 lines in the file, and it printed out each one. I could do more more complicated stuff here and interpret it, like is there, get a token at a time and decide if it's an int or not, or something like that. Now, the problem could be, okay, so actually let me put this all up where I had it in my slides. Just okay. So now, if there is an error here, trying to read sample text 2, for example, it caught the error and printed out this stack trace, the errors. I'm just going to print out something else instead, so we can decide whether or not it actually found the error or not. File not found. So I run it again. Prints out file not found, right? Sample 2 was not found. It did the catch, and so on. There's an issue here where I basically open the scanner. I could do something in here that also throws an exception of some kind, and maybe another catches it. But it never gets closed, so basically I have not cleaned up this resource properly. And so there's another form of this. It's called try with resources. And oops, I'm over here now. You basically put in parentheses on the try the thing that has something that has to be closed. And these are set up in such a way that these will auto-close when an exception is thrown. So Java has decided this is an issue, and they added to scanner and files enough that it knows, hey, if an exception happens, this code is going to try to actually close this for us without us even explicitly doing anything about it. There is no scanner close down in here, right? So as soon as you leave the block, it closes it for you. So this is a slightly newer form than this, and it's sort of the recommended one when you're working in certain circumstances with files, to add this resource up here and let it close it for you. Okay? So again, this is not a big jump from our past exception stuff, but I will say trying to figure out how to organize your code is a little more complicated. Like, where does the actual work go? In here or afterwards with some check to make sure you actually didn't throw the exception or something like that. And again, this also could have been something where you're asking someone for a file name and you keep looping with a while loop until you actually get out of the, until you don't catch an exception. In other words, it succeeds finding the file. So all this takes a little time to get used to, but it shows up a lot in Java, and it is a very powerful technique for making your code a little more bulletproof, a little stronger against errors. And so we'll continue to push on this as we go through the semester.